Hello and welcome back to Shapiro's Rooted in American Craft. I am Alena along with my brother Matt, and our show gives you a small look into what it's like to be in a family business, and we also talk a lot about the American craft movement and handmade in general. For those of you that didn't watch, last week we interviewed one of our glass artists, Scott Geraltz, and he kind of gave us a little taste of what it's like to be a glass blower, and his background and how he got started in that. And one of the things that he also mentioned was the importance of a handmade show. So we gave a little bit of a tease to a future show that's coming up as well. Matt, do you have any other information about that show that you can share?
No, it's definitely happening. One of our artists, Laura, she's a jeweler. She's all in on it. I have all the faith in the world that's going to happen from the few conversations I've had with her. So it sounds like it's happening. It's going to be the first one. So I'm hoping we can all kind of get behind her and support her with getting the show going, and hopefully it fills the void that American craft needs right now.
And again, that show is going to be in February of 2025 in Baltimore. So if you are a wholesale artist and you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. We don't know all that much about it, but we're happy to tell you what we do. So anyway, that was last week. This week's episode is all about my brother, Matt. So I hope you're excited to learn a little bit more about him. But before we get to that, we want to do Matt's favorite segment on the show, Outside the Gallery. So Matt, what'd you do this weekend?
This was a fun weekend. I think I'm still recovering from this past weekend, but we briefly got to celebrate Avery's birthday. I'm sure you'll go into more detail about that. And then right after the birthday, we got to go to the Rowdies game and finally saw a win. And there was about a group of 10 of us that went, so it was an awesome time. It was several of the people that went. It was their first soccer game, so they got to experience a live match. So that was a blast. And then with football season right around the corner, it was the start of fantasy football, and we had the fantasy football draft, and we had a relay race to figure out the draft order. And wouldn't you know, I got first place. So I got the first overall pick. Christian McCaffrey is on the team, so hopefully by the end of the season, I'm still in first place, but we'll go from there.
Well, I like Matt just said, this past weekend was Avery's birthday. She turned 5, so we had a big birthday party for her at our house. And I realized that my daughter has way more friends than I do. She had about, 15 of her friends at our backyard, and we had a big slip and slide, and we did a splatter paint thing and bubbles, and she had a blast. She basically just ran nonstop for 3 hours. So I was just excited to be able to do that with her. So that kind of consumed most of our weekend.
Yeah, and it was cool. On the back fence, Avery had this large paper that kind of lined the entire fence, and all of her friends got to paint it. And I hope that was water-based paint, because they got as much off the paper and on the fence as they did on the paper itself.
Yeah, Guy spends a lot of time, pressure washing it all down, but it came off. So
good. Well, it looked cool. She definitely was having a blast.
She had fun, so that was good.
It's nice.
All right, so
should we talk about me now?
I guess let's get to our interview with Matt. So in past episodes, we've kind of learned a little bit more about our mom Sue and her clay work, and how her work really led to the gallery starting. And then we interviewed our dad, and he kind of gave a little bit more of the business background and insight as to how his path to the gallery started. So this week, we really want you to learn a little bit more about my little brother, Matt, and kind of how he ended up falling into the gallery as well. So first of all, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about pre-gallery Matt? What should we know about you?
Well, I was born in St. Pete, Florida, born and raised. Growing up, as you know, and as some of you have learned, I wanted nothing to do with the gallery. From the age of about 10, I just wanted to work. I wanted to drop out of school at 10 years old and go to a factory and just work and do whatever I could to make money, and I just had no desire for school, but I love to work. Fortunately, mom and dad said, no, you're going to stay in school and we're not going to send you to a factory to work. So I stayed in school and then started picking up odd jobs here and there. I started at 13 in working with a catering company and learning how to cook. That was probably my most favorite job I've had prior to working here. It was a blast learning how to really everything, have the proper technique of how to cut, how to cook, how to temperature check, how to control a kitchen, how to control a catering. It was fun being 13 years old and walking into a catering and having the company say, run this for me. We'll be downstairs, or make, 150 salads. We'll see you in an hour. So the confidence they had in me to just kind of help them grow their business was a blast. And I think the nice thing about our childhood is everyone we knew owned a small business.
Yep.
So, growing up, we knew the owners, and that allowed us access to certain career paths I don't think certain 13-year-olds would be allowed to pursue. And, Jeff Emerson had a huge impact on my life. And through his catering company, he taught me pretty much everything I know about working in a kitchen. And from catering company and cooking, I quickly realized that every weekend, 12 hours on my feet was not something I really wanted to do for the rest of my life. So that kind of evolved into working in that warehouse with another family friend who owned a janitorial supply company. So I got to work in a metal warehouse all throughout every summer, and quickly realized again, I don't want to be a warehouse worker in the summer of Florida. And by that time I was in high school and really got into graphic design, motion graphic, video production through our high school. And I think that's when I really found what I thought my future was going to be. Video production and graphic design is something I just kind of came natural to me, and I really enjoyed it. And I think the cool thing was the high school that Alena and I went to wasn't your typical high school TV production class. Our studio was probably about $1 million studio, and we partnered with Fox 13. So any of their old equipment that they had upgraded would get transferred to us. So all the cameras we were using, all the computers we were using, the sets we were using were all from the Fox 13 studio in Tampa. So it was all professional grade equipment. And that's when I think I fell in love with graphic design, video production. And then from the high school experience, I ended up meeting the director of football video for the University of Central Florida. And then, so I went from high school video production to now I'm in college, and I'm now creating coaches video for the football team, where I'm breaking down the film every practice, every week, and helping scout for upcoming opponents. And then also anything that was on the Jumbotron in the stadium was kind of something I had my finger on as well. So it's been a fun ride, It's, that was all until I was 24. So it was within 10 years I got to dabble in a lot of different industries that I wasn't sure what was gonna, where I was gonna end up ultimately.
So from, cooking to janitorial warehouse to TV production to gallery, how did you make that leap? What made you decide that you wanted to join the family business?
Well, it was kind of as I quickly learned that catering wasn't for me and warehouse management wasn't for me. I quickly learned that video production and sports video wasn't for me either. It's a very hard industry. It's from pretty much September through February, you're working every day. And the pay wasn't all that great. And especially as a college kid, working nonstop, trying to enjoy college life, while also working, I quickly realized that I just wasn't happy anymore. So video became not something I wanted to do. And after graduation, I just started here on a whim because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. Um, I think I have a very personable, my personality is very, I'm very good with talking to people. I'm very personable. I have a business mind where I'm always looking at how can I improve this business or turn this venture into a business. So when I kind of joined the gallery, it was, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but we're going to start and see what happens. So yeah, so once I joined the business, I just started as a sales associate on the floor. I was working 3 days a week, 4 days a week, probably 20 hours. And I was just kind of selling, learning, and kind of trying to get a better understanding of the gallery. And never really having worked in it, I understood it to a point, but I truly started to understand what the gallery is and what it's about.
So then fast forward a few years after that, when you find out that I'm moving back to St. Pete and I too want to join the family business, what did you think about that?
I was excited because after about the first 6 months, mom and dad kind of had a conversation, and they realized that I wasn't just going to be here part time, that it had become something a little bit more serious. I had started taking on a larger role in the gallery, helping them out, um, pretty much managing the marketing, website, graphic side of it, kind of the part that I used to enjoy that then missed and then started doing again. Um, I was doing that aspect of it. And, mom had her kind of ordering side, dad was the business side. And then when you mentioned that you were wanting to come back, at this point, I had fallen more in love with the numbers and business side and less of the marketing website side. So it allowed kind of me an exit plan from graphic design, marketing, website, and to transition into the business side of it. So the timing worked out pretty well, honestly. So thank you for that. And it also kind of, it was different ways of looking at the formula and trying to solve the problem. So dad and I were able to look at it from my view and his view. So it really allowed us to find somewhere in the middle that seemed to really help the gallery kind of grow and evolve.
And you mean as far as like how to run the business, the number side of things?
Yeah. I think mom and dad had built the gallery and it was running fine, and it was great. And they had built it the way they wanted to build it. And I'm going to call it a machine, was just rolling. And, they had been in business for, at that point, 12 or 13 years. So why change what's worked for the past 12 or 13 years? And I come in with all these radical ideas that might work, might not. Who am I? I've never run a business, but it's just an idea. And looking at the data had suggestions. So I kind of came in with these crazy ideas compared to what had worked. So it allowed dad and I to kind of sit down and really look at all angles of maybe we order a little bit less, maybe we spend a little bit less, maybe we spend a little bit more, maybe we shrink this section because the revenue per square foot generated here is different than here, in ways that mom and dad had never looked at the gallery. I was looking at it as a business as opposed to a true love, and I think that's helped me bring a little bit more black and white view to certain decisions, where to me it's you have to run the business as a business, whereas mom and dad, it is their baby that they love and they have grown from nothing into something.
I think that probably goes back to a couple weeks ago when dad was mentioning how, they had taken the business to a certain point and it sort of plateaued. And we always joke with them that the way that they did things before, it was all based on gut. They didn't really have any data backing it up. So I'm sure when you started, you sort of made dad especially start thinking differently about the numbers. So I think that was probably a huge benefit to hear.
I agree. And the nice thing was, I think, without me realizing it, I also learned a lot of their ways and picked up on their tendencies and kind of understood how important it is to respect and appreciate our customers. The gallery has been built, on a really high quality product, but in addition to that, just respecting and appreciating and delivering customer service. And I think that's rubbed off on me without ever saying, customers are, our number one priority. It's, we just kind of naturally always taking care of our customers, and, the fine print might say one thing, but we do another thing, and we try to just make everyone as comfortable and feel appreciative as possible.
So for you, what do you think is the hardest part about working in a family business?
Oh man, I think it's balancing the the gallery mat versus not gallery mat. And it's hard to family. It's a lot easier to say what you want, however you want, whenever you want to say it, as opposed to talking to a coworker, an employee, a family member. You can just talk to them differently. I think that's true for all families. I think the way brothers and sisters talk to each other are different than brothers and coworkers will talk, or brothers and friends will talk. So I think the hardest thing for me was balancing keeping family and work as separate as possible, but also trying, when it does blend, trying to unblend it.
So
Yeah.
then on the other side, what do you think is the best part about working in a family business?
I think working with your family is the best
Yeah.
part of working. It's that double. It's like that fine line of it's the best thing, and I think it could also be the worst thing, which is why I think a lot of, especially second generation family businesses fail. Is it's a really hard dynamic to balance. I think we've done a really good job of balancing it. I But I also think I can understand when you see these stats and hear these stats about, family businesses either fail or don't succeed or struggle or they leave or whatever the reason. I completely understand it. I am not the easiest person to work with at times, but I think that can be true for anyone in a stressful situation of trying to run a small business. But that being said, I think working with your family is also one of the best treats, because we can help each other out when we need to. And as much as I might be upset about, having to deal with family dynamics while at the gallery, it is what it is. It's part of it, and I think it also, but I think it's brought in the family even closer and made our family even stronger, because we do have this joint vision and joint idea to kind of grow this gallery into something pretty incredible.
Yeah. Okay. So your role here has really evolved since you started. So what is your main responsibilities here? Like what do you do? What is your job description?
I am the charmer, the schmoozer, the my official role, I believe, in my view, is balancing the numbers and making sure that the expenses and the projected sales numbers, revenue, is all pretty close in line with each other. I think it's the numbers are one of the most important aspects of keeping this business running. And I think my job is to ensure that when we are having good months, our numbers are adjusted appropriately. And then when we're having bad months, they're also adjusted the opposite way appropriately. And I think I try to do a pretty good job of balancing what I expect numbers to be, what I expect the sales to be, and then what I expect, inventory levels to be. I think the biggest thing for those that don't own a small business or have never been a part of a retail business, inventory is key. And if you don't have inventory, you can't sell anything, obviously. But if you have too much inventory at the end of the year, you go to look and see what money you made, and your money is not in your bank account. It's all on items on the floor. So that's also not good either. So it's finding that fine line of keeping the gallery stocked while also making sure you have money in your bank account to be able to pay your bills.
Yeah, and that's something that Matt and I are constantly working together on, where he will, figure out what number we need to spend, and then I'll try to figure out how I take that number and what to spend it on. And we hope that his number is right and my, pick of items is right. And that at the end of the year, we are in the green, basically. So it is a balance. So, well, so you do most of the numbers for the gallery, but I know you still have your love of design and creating. So what do you do to express that now that you kind of don't do that as much here?
Yeah, now I started a t-shirt company right at the start of 2020. This was before we knew that COVID and the coronavirus was going to shut down the entire world. I had this idea to start a t-shirt company, and then um, 3 weeks later, the entire world shut down. So I was nervous about what to do, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise because once everything got shut down, the gallery was closed for about 6 weeks. So it allowed me to then really focus 6 weeks of energy on starting my apparel line. And 1771 Designs is the name of it. And it's all t-shirts that are designed by me and created by me, the graphic work on them. But it's all inspired by the Tampa Bay area. And for me, it allows me to still create and make, but also it allows me to also take a break from there, focus on the gallery, and then take care of the business analytical side. And then when my mind starts going and mush from spreadsheets, I can go back to creating and designing and making my t-shirts. And so far, it's been a really good balance, and the apparel line is definitely taking off. It's growing every month, and people are continuing to buy, and so it's a really fun outlet for me to have something outside of the gallery, and it's my own baby. So it's kind of, I know how mom and dad felt back in '98 when they started
Right.
the gallery. Now it's kind of how I am with my t-shirt company, where that is my love. The gallery is our family's love. The t-shirt line is my love, and it's allowed me to really use my connections and resources from the gallery to really help me grow this t-shirt company. So it's been a nice outlet, and I can create when I want to create. I can make when I want to make, but it's my own baby, so I don't have to constantly, if I don't want to create every day, I don't have to. I'm not forced to. When the creative juices are flowing, that's when I start making a lot of designs, and so far so good.
It's kind of like how mom has her clay work. You have your t-shirt.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. When she tells me she just wants to get to the studio and make, I completely understand what she's talking about, because sometimes I just want to get into my office, turn on Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, and start creating some designs.
And for those of you that are watching this on YouTube or one of the video platforms, I'm pretty sure the shirt Matt has on right now is one of your designs, if
Yes.
people can see it. So if someone wants to purchase one, how do they go about doing that?
They can go to my website, 1771designs.com, or come into the gallery. I have a small selection of shirts, probably 10 or 12 different designs located in the gallery. So definitely come on by and check them out. They're very, very soft shirts. I use a really high quality blank. So you don't have to worry about them shrinking awkwardly on you, and you'll be able to wear them and enjoy them for many, many years.
All right, so back to the gallery. Where do you see, what is your vision for the future of Shapiro's?
The gallery, I think, is the gallery is who the gallery is. I truly believe that we are going to be a American made, handmade art gallery. A lot of people are scared by the word gallery. We are a gallery, but we're as much a unique and creative outlet for American artists to show their crafts and their items. So as much as we are a gallery per se, we have a lot that's may not be considered gallery art. I think a lot of people hear gallery and they think two dimensional,
Right.
fine, really expensive. So I think my ultimate vision is to try to better educate the community about who we are. That yes, we have gallery in our name. However, if you want to spend $10 on something really creative and very unique, you can still come in and find something like that. So my ultimate goal is to continue to educate and allow those that may not know what the gallery is about or who the gallery is, kind of get them better understood on what we are and what we have. The other piece I really want to push is the bridal line that we've started.
Yeah.
I really am excited about the future of that. The solid gold, the diamonds, the engagement bands, the wedding bands, the anniversary bands, the whatever. I just had a baby band. Like, there's all sorts of amazing pieces of jewelry out there that we have that are in the solid gold, the fine stones, the precious stones that I think we are going to continue to grow. And I really want to get that message out there as well, that we do have that special piece of jewelry for you that is American made and handmade.
Yeah, and for those that don't know what Matt's talking about, we have a whole curated bridal section in the gallery that is all handcrafted rings, primarily from. We probably have 5 or 6 different artists that we carry that do specific bridal engagement rings or right hand rings as well, and they're beautiful. So if you haven't been in to check them out, I would definitely encourage you to stop by. We do have some on the website, but the pictures don't do them justice. And if you are someone that is getting ready to get engaged and is looking for something that's a little bit different, definitely stop by and check it out. So one other thing that I haven't really heard you talk much about is your involvement in the American craft movement outside of the gallery, because I know you sit on a couple advisory boards and you've sat on some panels. And where do you see the future of American craft going? Because it's kind of an industry that's sort of in flux right now, where a lot of craft galleries are closing. What do you see happening with the movement?
I think the future of American craft is really strong. I think if you go to the sidewalk shows around the country, you will see them filled with artists and craftspeople who make really unique and clever items. So I think the industry in that regards is really strong, and I think it's still growing. I think the strictly American craft galleries like what we have, I think is going to slowly fade away. Unfortunately, I just think it's running a small business is really expensive. It's, the insurances that most common people don't understand, the taxes that come down on small businesses, just the expense of bags and tissue paper and wrapping paper and light bulbs and tape and everything that's involved in running a business is really expensive, and it's hard to make a strictly craft gallery, profitable. So I don't think we're going to see as many art galleries like us continue to open. However, I still believe that the industry is going to be strong. It's just going to have to evolve slightly. And that means you're going to start seeing more, I think, boutique style art craft galleries where they're going to have the home decor, American made, handmade, in addition to whether it's clothing or shoes, or you're going to have jewelry stores that then add on the American craft pieces. Because I think in order to be able to pay the bills and keep the businesses, operational, we're blessed because we're in a really artsy town, and all of our community really loves American made and American craft. But that's not true with everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think the nerve-wracking thing for a lot of craft gallery owners is being able to find the proper location with the proper clientele, but also with the proper rent. If you start looking around at a lot of rents, it can only be afforded by either real estate offices, bars, or lawyers. So I think if we can, kind of as a community as a whole, focus on bringing back retail and bringing back craft galleries and lowering the rents, I think that truly will help spur the industry. But if not, I think you're going to see this natural progression into kind of a different main focus with a side of American made.
So is there anything else that you want the listeners to know about Matt?
No, actually, it's been a fun journey. I'm only 35, and I feel like I've worked a lot of different industries and have had a lot of different experiences. So I'm really excited and fortunate in that regards, where I've got to dabble. I haven't just been, from some people, they just are so focused on just one industry their entire life. I've been able to move around a little bit, and I do enjoy the gallery because it allows me to dabble in a lot of different areas. It's as much as I am just numbers. I'm not just numbers. I'm also, I'm on the floor selling, so I get to meet a lot of people. I'm in the back, doing some electrical work, so I'm able to fix that. There's things where I'm not just pigeonholed into one category, so it doesn't get boring. And then I never know who's walking through that door every day, and it's fun, it's exciting, it's nerve wracking, and the more people that come through the door, the better. The less stressed I am. So I would encourage anyone listening to please come in and shop. But no, I've really enjoyed not really knowing what I was going to do, and learning kind of every day how to do what I do a little bit better.
Well, thank you, and I hope everyone has enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more about Matt and everything that he brings to the gallery, because he really is. If without you, this place would not function. So, from your sister, thank you for that. So, what do we have coming up next week?
Megan Patrice Riley is a jeweler that we've carried for many years, and I'm going to take credit for finding her jewelry initially.
Mm-hmm.
But her background is fascinating and similar to mine. She worked a lot of different careers and focus, and then ended up becoming a jeweler. And she's really taken off in the jewelry space, and she's our age as well, so it's fun getting to know her and seeing what type of influence she's become in our industry. And as someone that, kind of the question I asked earlier, is what's the future of the craft industry? With her, she's really helped growing it, and she's really reached out to the younger artists and really coached them through the process of getting into it, doing art shows, doing wholesale shows, meeting galleries, and kind of growing their business. So Megan Patrice will be next week, and I'm excited to get a little better insight into kind of her career path, her life path, and how she ended up kind of in New York City.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think we were one of her first orders she ever wrote in her young career. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, which I think is pretty cool, because she really has her line and her designs have really exploded, and she's everywhere and everyone knows her name. So it'll be fun to get to chat with her a little bit more. All right. Well, thank you guys all for listening. Again, we are Shapiro's, Rooted in American Craft. Make sure you follow us, like us, subscribe. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And Matt, anything else before we wrap it up?
Come by the gallery, check out the shirts, go to the website, shapirogallery.com, and thank you again for all of your support, everyone. But till next week, we'll see you then.
Bye.